Hi everyone, this is Roy Newen, and today we have here a couple of smartwatches from Amazfit. Amazfit, I'm not sure. So these two, the GTS 2E and GTR 2E, were announced at CES just a week or two ago, and they're both very similar, and they're both more affordable versions of smartwatches that already existed. So this is obviously a more affordable version of the GTS 2, and this is a more affordable version of the GTR 2. Those were 179.99 each, or just 179, I'm not sure. And these are 139. So a $40 difference. And for that, you're making just a couple of sacrifices. So the screen here, the display cover is a little less round or a little less curved at the edges. They don't have Wi-Fi and they don't have a speaker, so you can't make calls with these. So those are the big disadvantages there versus the GTS and GTR 2. They also don't have a glossy finish on the material, but I don't actually consider that a disadvantage. I don't know if that's just me. I actually prefer it being matte, but whatever. However, they also have some advantages. They have better battery life, and they have a temperature sensor, so they can measure temperature. Feature-wise, these two are pretty much the same. However, the major differences are in the display. So this one has a square display, which is where the S comes from. Technically, it's a rectangle, but you get the idea. And this one has a round display. And they also have different resolutions because of that. So this one is 454 pixels across, and this one is 348 by 442, which according to Amazfit actually gives it a higher pixel density. I'm not sure how that works, but let's just go ahead and open these, just so you can take a better look at the actual hardware. So inside the box, there's another box, which is always fun. These are actually a little hard to open, or at least more than I like. So then there's two boxes that are completely indistinguishable. Then you slide that up, and there we have the two watches. So GTS 2E, GTR 2E. Like I said, in terms of features, they're pretty much the same. They have 90 sports modes for tracking. So if you're exercising, you can track up to 90 different types of exercise. They have sleep monitoring, heart rate monitoring, blood oxygen measurements, stress monitoring, and they have, of course, the temperature sensor I mentioned earlier. And they bring that all together with this feature that Amazfit does, which they call the PAI, which I think is Personal Activity Intelligence. I think that's what it stands for. That's basically like a single number from 0 to 100 that brings together kind of all your health metrics in a glanceable sort of information feed thing. So it's just one number that summarizes your health stats at the moment. They also, like I said, they don't have a speaker, so they can't make calls, but they do have a microphone, and that's because Amazfit builds this feature that they call it a personal assistant that works offline, and basically you can use it to start a workout or start a heart rate measurement or stuff like that. So it's not like a Google Assistant or something like that. It's just a voice assistant for specific watch things. And that still works here because you don't need a speaker. You just need to speak to the watch, and you can still do that. Also, I think I forgot to mention, but these watches don't have Wi-Fi. That's another disadvantage over the GTS 2 and GTR 2, because those do have Wi-Fi. But I can't really imagine that there's a lot of situations where your watch should be connected to Wi-Fi, but your phone isn't. So I don't think that's a huge deal. So we're gonna pop these out of here. This box design is kind of annoying because then you have to pull all of this out. But it's also kind of interesting because now this thing splits apart, and you have the manuals on this side. These are boxes. So here are user manuals and stuff. And okay, on this side you have the charger. So the charger is a pin charger, which might be a disadvantage to some. I actually haven't had problems with pin chargers in a while. I did have some with the Nubio Alpha back in 2019, where it stopped charging very well, but I haven't had that since, so I'm assuming it's fine. So this just comes with a cable and the little puck, which is hidden in there. I don't really want to tear the paper just yet. And there's no power adapter, so you're gonna have to find that yourself. You probably have one lying around already. Or worst case scenario, you can just plug it into a computer or something. And let's do the same for this one while we're at it. Pop it open. Again, manuals on one side, charger on the other side. I'm assuming the charger is the same or very similar. It looks pretty much the same. So that's cool. Now, in terms of the design, I'm actually a much... Oops, this is upside down. There we go. I'm actually a much bigger fan of the round one. Usually I like square displays more for seeing information. But I guess the size helps a bit. It feels bigger. But also the round one has an interesting touch on the design here. So these are paper covers on top. But on the round one, the arms of the clock continue on the bezel, even if you take the paper off. So if you want to use an analog clock, you can still have that little guidance there to see the time. Also, the square one only has one button, and this one has two. I don't actually know just yet what each of them does, but I'll find that out soon enough. And of course, on the back, you have all the sensors and the pins for charging and stuff like that. They both use a standard watch strap that's replaceable, so you can just remove the straps with the pin there and attach anything that fits this size. I believe it's 22 millimeters for both of them. Actually, it seems to be a bit bigger on the GTR 2E, but they're around that size, so it's not too far off. And like I said, you can replace them easily. That's a big advantage with standard watch mechanisms. They're easy to replace. You can just have it look however you want. And that's a thing because actually with the GTS 2 and GTR 2, those came with leather straps, or optionally at least. These will only come with rubber. So if you want to have leather, you can just buy your own and put it on here. And I think that is pretty cool. So let's try to turn one of them on and see what happens. In the meantime, one major difference that I actually forgot to mention, the battery life is actually much better on the round watch. So this one has a 200 and something, I forget, 246 milliamp hour battery on the square, and the round has a 471 milliamp hour battery, so that's much bigger, and it does actually last much longer. So you'll get up to 14 days of battery, not up to, for typical usage this is around 14 days of battery life according to Amazfit, and this one is 24 days of battery life. But Amazfit, this is very confusing. They actually provide a bunch of estimates for battery life. So 14 days typical use, 24 days basic use, or 7 days heavy use for the GTS 2E. For this one, you have 24 days of typical use, 45 days of basic use, and I believe 14 days or 10 days of heavy use. So it's actually much better on the 2E, on the GTR 2E. And they're also much better than the more expensive versions of the watches. So that's a pretty big benefit considering you're paying $40 less, I think that's something that's very interesting to have as an advantage. So we're gonna try to configure this. English. Okay, so I need to use the QR code to set it up. I actually have the app on my phone. Let's do that. Okay, so I took a little longer than I would have wanted to set that up. The watch actually had an update after I paired it with the phone. But here we are. So this is the default watch face that showed up. Actually, after the update, it was reset for some reason. But this is what was here. So right on the default watch face, you can see your battery level, heart rate, calories burned, your PAI that I was mentioning earlier, and your activity time or something like that. Then you can swipe left or right. You can set alarms, see your weather, PAI, and heart rate on that page. If you want to see it all like in a single page, you can do that. Or you can swipe through all the data one page at a time. So these are your activity goals, heart rate, music controls, which I don't have anything right now. Weather information, you can actually scroll down on this one, see more predictions there. Whoops. And you can keep going. PAI again, of course there's 0 because I don't have the watch actually on. And back to the watch face. You can press and hold to change watch faces, pretty much like Wear OS and other watch interfaces. And you can add more through the app. We'll get to that in a bit. Then you swipe up for notifications, swipe down for the control center or action center, whatever it's called. Here you got the battery, weather, a connection indicator with the phone, and a bunch of actions. There's power saving, the flashlight mode, brightness settings, do not disturb, bunch of things like that. And then you press the button to go to your apps list. So again, activity goals, pretty much the same as the widget, PAI, heart rate. When we go to the workouts in a bit, this is your activity log, stress monitoring, SpO2 monitoring, weather, music, alarms, events, widgets, which includes compass, an altimeter, a timer, a countdown, and the ability to find your phone, and the temperature meter there, and settings. We'll also get to that in a bit. So in terms of workouts, this is actually, before the update, this was really confusing me, because you have a handful of workouts here in the main page, which is fairly comprehensive, I suppose. But then you have this more option, which wasn't here before. So the list initially just had these, 12 options maybe? And I was wondering where the 90 sports modes they advertised were. But now you get this full list. You can find all this stuff. What the heck is Jianzi kicking? I have never heard of this. Tug of war, kite flying. There's a lot of modes here. Others. Archery. Okay. That's interesting. And then if you want to, you can edit the list. So this list, the primary list you have there, you can change the items on there, which is very welcome. And then if we go into the settings, of course you can change the watch face like I showed before. Display and brightness, light up when you get a notification. That's interesting. Brightness adjustment, in this case I think it's automatic, but you can turn off automatic brightness. You can turn on the always on display, which can follow the same watch face we have on right now. So I'm gonna turn it always on just to see what happens. Back to the watch face. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so it's obviously much more simple, but I think what it means is that the clock is in exactly the same position it was before it turned off. And they don't probably do something like that, regardless of what watch face you have. I really don't care about always on displays. I never really have, so it's whatever. Vibration settings, user preferences. So you can press the side button twice to open something specific, which is pretty cool. Quick access. So, these are the panels that show up when you swipe from the main screen. So that's always here. That's on here as well. We can customize that. Workout detection. So it can detect up to 6 sports modes. However, as they say here, it will apparently reduce your battery life greatly. And I gotta be honest, I really don't care for automatic sports detection either. But you can if you want to. No, workout, not workout, what is this? Wearing direction, so you can choose whether, does this really matter? Oh, so I assume you can tilt the phone, the watch either way, and they don't change the UI. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen that before. And this way you can have the button on whichever side you prefer to be more accessible. That is pretty cool. And then you have, of course, the offline voice assistant I mentioned earlier, which lets you start workouts and things like that. So you can have it enable. So apparently there's no way to have a button for it. So it'll wake up after you move your wrist, so it's awake, or after the screen is on, which I guess if you tap to wake the screen, then that would enable that as well. Or you can have it on whenever the screen is on. I wish there was a button for it. I think that would be the ideal way. But whatever. And then you have it gives you a list of everything you might want to do with it. You can change your watch face, enable do not disturb, battery saver, theater mode. So all those major settings are there. You can open specific apps, which is also very cool. Of course, you can start a workout, and you can control music. So that's actually a decent amount of control you get with that personal assistant thing. So that is pretty interesting. So that was a quick look at the GTS 2E. I'm not going to do the same thing for the GTR 2E because in terms of the features, it's all the same. You can get a sense of what they look like next to each other. I can turn on this one just so you see what the screen looks like there. So yeah, putting them side by side, you can see the difference in the screen size here. Obviously, the round one does look bigger to me, but it's not necessarily it's not the ideal way to see information in general if you're looking at text and stuff, but it looks bigger. I think it looks nice. It'll look nicer on the wrist as well, but maybe that's just me. Of course, I'll be reviewing both of them. One thing I forgot to check, I should show you the app as well, so you can unlock that. So the app for the watch looks like that. You got the store here. This is where you get watch faces if you want to get more. I don't know if they can be paid. Is there any indication? No, I believe you can just sync them. I don't see any indication here that they're paid for. So you just sync them with your watch. You can manage the ones you already have, of course. So there is that. You can set up the notifications as well. You can change the vibration settings, whether you want to have automatic detecting for all these things, heart rate, stress, and sleep breathing. Well, that's interesting. So you can monitor your breathing while you're sleeping, which is something I didn't know that was possible. Then of course you can access some watch settings here. So if it's a little too hard to do on this tiny screen, apparently you can do most of it from here, which is also very nice. Shortcut cards. So you can adjust this too. And app settings, you can change settings for almost everything of the watch. You can try to find the watch. Oh, geez. Okay. I didn't mean to do that. Wait, how do I access my device settings from here? There we go. So all the settings for the watch are interestingly on the app as well. So that is actually pretty cool, the fact that you can do that. That's very nice. So aside from that, of course, you just have this thing, gathering your data from your devices. I don't know if you can add more than one. So in general, I think I really like the app. Everything seems to be done very thoughtfully here. And like I said, I'm going to be reviewing both of these watches one at a time. I think I will start with this one since it's already synced with my phone. But I'm actually a little more excited for the GTR 2E. But with that being said, that's gonna be all for this video. I think this is already longer than most of my hands-on videos. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.